America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. There we go. Hey, everybody. Good morning. TikTok, we froze there for a moment. Hey, Joe. Hey, Katie. Everybody on TikTok. Hello. TikTok kind of froze on me a little bit there. Don't have that TikTok. Can't have that TikTok because I'm in a bad mood this morning. Welcome, TikTok. Welcome, everybody. Former Congressman Joe Walsh. This is the Social Contract with Joe Walsh, where every week and every show I'm supposed to preach the social contract. What does that mean? Often many of you ask, what the hell is the social contract, Joe? Here's what it is. The social contract is the responsibilities that we have. We, not our politicians, not those guys. We, as free citizens in this thing we call a democracy, we're supposed to be tolerant, respectful. We're supposed to stay informed, and we're supposed to be engaged. And every show and every week, I try to model all of that. And I'm going to try to model all of that this morning. But I'm pissed off. I'm in a dangerous combination. I'm in a bad mood this Friday morning. And I've already had way too much coffee. I ordered a cappuccino, and I think it came with like 6 or 7 extra shots because I messed up the order. So I'm like buzzing right now, and I'm in a bad mood, and I got to get things off of my chest this Friday in no particular order. Let me tell you what I'm pissed off about. By the way, before I tell you what I'm pissed off about, Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry, Merry Christmas. What a wonderful Christmas season this is. Happy Hanukkah, whatever the heck you celebrate. Merry, Merry, and a Happy New Year and all of that. We don't do happy holidays here. We identify by the holiday, the holy day. Here's what I'm pissed off about. In no particular order this Friday morning, just some stuff. Some shit I want to get off of my chest. Here's number one. This whole swamp thing, like Trump's going to drain the swamp. Trump's the guy who's going to clean out the swamp and rid Washington, D.C. of all of these swamp creatures. Can we put that to bed once and for all? Can we put this whole swamp bullshit thing to bed? The swamp thing is so 2016. It's what got Trump elected in 2016. I'm going to drain the swamp, he said, right? And the swamp was kind of the corrupt marriage in D.C. of politicians and lobbyists, and they all scratch each other and stroke each other and throw money at each other. And it's a corrupt sewage of a game. And Donald Trump was going to be the clean guy from outside that swamp who came and drained the swamp and cleaned it all up, which is all bullshit. And it was all bullshit from the very beginning because Donald Trump's the most corrupt person we've ever had in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is the swamp. Laura Ingraham last night, right? At the end of this, I suppose we're in the middle of this Republican fiasco, Elon Musk fiasco, where they have until midnight tonight to try to keep the government open. This is all on Republicans. They're in charge. President Elon Musk and Vice President Trump, they're all elect Trump. They're all in charge. It's their thing. And they're trying to keep the government open because they fucked everything up. But in the midst of all of this, Laura Ingraham on Fox News last night says, that bill failed. The continuing resolution, the one that Trump said was a good thing, went down in flames. And Laura Ingraham on Fox News complained and said, see, this is the swamp again, rearing its ugly head again. trying to stop our dear leader Donald from doing his thing. Bullshit. I mean, we've got an unelected gazillionaire who personally killed a bill, who's dictating public policy in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump's biggest donor is running the show, and he ain't been elected to anything. I can't think of anything swampier than that. Trump and Musk and all the money and all these wealthy oligarchs, right? Unelected, now running the show in DC. That is the swamp. Donald Trump is the swamp. I don't know what's going to happen. I kind of do know what's going to happen. If any of you want to know, I guarantee you before midnight tonight, Friday, they will come up with a 2-week bill to fund the government until like January 4th. That's what they'll do. Just fund the government, keep the doors open for 1 or 2 more weeks. They'll kick that can down the road a couple of weeks. And then they'll all get on their airplanes like we used to do as members of Congress and get the hell out of Dodge and pat themselves on the back like they just did something great because they kept the government open for 2 weeks. What utter incompetence. By the way, this is a preview, America. This is a preview, America, of what we all voted for or what you voted for. Incompetence and chaos. You're going to get 4 years of this. Well done, America. But again, the only point I want to make here is the whole drain the swamp thing. I don't want to hear that again. That's like, as my daughter used to say when she was a young girl, Dad, that's so yesterday. That's so yesterday. That drain the swamp thing, that played in 2016, that tune ain't playing again. Donald Trump is the swamp. Donald Trump is the swampiest creature we've ever known. And he brings corrupt. Can you say Jared Kushner, right? You talk about the swamp. Jared Kushner leaves the White House after Trump loses in 2020. By the way, everybody, America, MAGA, Trump lost in 2020, fair and square. And then a month later, Jared Kushner, right, gets like $2-3 billion from the Saudis. That's the swamp in action. So repeat after me, MAGA. Repeat after me. Donald Trump is the swamp. Say it again. Donald Trump is the swamp. So the next time you see Laura Ingraham or what's his name, Hannity on Fox News talk about Trump's going to drain the swamp, boom, go like this. Don't want to hear that shit anymore. That's done. We ain't talking about a swamp anymore. He is the swamp. And by the way, last thing I'll say about this before I get to the second thing I got to get off of my chest. I love pissing off Trump supporters with this. Because it's a fact. In fact, I love pissing off Trump supporters with the truth. And here's the truth. Donald Trump added more to the national debt in 4 years than any other American president in our country's history has ever done in 4 years. Trump added more to our national debt in 4 years than any other 4-year term. And that's in real dollars, and that's in percentage increase. And by the way, I love putting that in front of Trump supporters because, and then they go, COVID. COVID. No. Donald Trump in year one, in his first year before COVID, added more to the national debt than any president in American history in 1 year. Donald Trump in his first 2 years before COVID added more to the national debt in 2 years than any other president in American history did in 2 years. Donald Trump in his first 3 years before COVID hit added more to the national debt in 3 years than any other president had in 3 years. You follow me? So yeah, Trump, who bragged about being the king of debt, Douglas, Dale, I love it. All my MAGA friends All they do to me is they just say, liar, traitor, go to hell. Piece of shit, liar, traitor, go to hell. Sounds like a song. Piece of shit, liar, traitor, go to hell, Joe. Piece of shit, liar, traitor, go to hell, Joe. That's all I get. That's the response I get when I throw little nuggets of truth in front of them. It's got nothing to do with COVID. Donald Trump bragged about being the king of debt. He is the king in American history. He is the king of debt. So you talk about the swamp, like I don't want to hear anything. Trump endorsed that continuing resolution that went down last night that would have added $5 trillion to our debt. And the people who voted against it, 38 Republicans last night, guys like Chip Roy, the most fiscally conservative, this cracks me up. 38 Republicans voted against that continuing resolution last night. They were the most fiscally conservative Republicans, like Chip Roy. And MAGA got angry at the fiscally conservative Republicans because MAGA's only loyalty is to Donald Trump. That's their only principle, is loyalty to Trump. So get this, the most fiscally conservative Republicans voted against that continuing resolution last night that would have added $5 trillion to the debt. And if I were in Congress, I would have, because I was fiscally conservative. But MAGA doesn't applaud them. Republican voters don't applaud them because MAGA voters don't care about the debt. MAGA voters care about loyalty to Trump. So it was an odd thing. All of Trump's media cheerleaders telling Trump's voters to go after these real conservative Republicans for voting against this spending bill. It was beautiful. But I finished this rant. We're done with the swamp. Don't want to hear that anymore. Trump is the swamp. Rant number 2. Young people, you need a kick in the ass. Anybody in America 18 to 29 years old, you need a kick in the ass. This wasn't talked enough about this week. We kind of just let it pass because of Elon Musk running the show and all the other stuff going on. But YouGov came out with that poll earlier in the week, polling Americans on whether what Luigi did, that guy did, that punk, that murderer who killed the United Healthcare CEO. YouGov put out a poll asking Americans, was it acceptable what that 26-year-old killer did? And the only age cohort that said the murder was acceptable was Americans 18 to 29 years old. 41% of Americans 18 to 29-year-old said it was acceptable what that 26-year-old killer did. 41% of 18 to 29-year-olds said that. Something like 40% said it wasn't acceptable. 41% said it was acceptable. In every other age group, the older you got, the less acceptable you said it was. But every other age group said not acceptable, not acceptable. 18 to 29-year-olds said it is perfectly acceptable because you're pissed off about health insurance, you're pissed off about whatever. It's cold-blooded murder is perfectly acceptable. Man, America got us a problem. Young people in America need a kick, a loving kick in the ass. It's never acceptable. It's never acceptable. Cold-blooded murder is never acceptable. Doesn't matter how mad you are. Doesn't matter how angry you are. Doesn't matter how justified you might think it is. To grab a gun and shoot and kill somebody in cold-blooded murder on a New York sidewalk at 6:30 in the morning is never acceptable. Boom, period, end of story. Pisses me off. And it should piss off all of Americans. It should concern all of Americans. My God, that most 18 to 29-year-olds in America find that act acceptable? And by the way, I say this often, and I get a lot of blowback from people who say, Joe, you don't understand what young people have had to live with in America. All these school shootings and they're not insured and what's going on in Gaza and our politics is broken and da 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 da. And so young people are so disillusioned and young people are so cynical. Da 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 da. I get it. I listen to it. I get it. I understand it. But stop. Stop. None of that is justification. None of that. 83 school shootings this year. That's no reason for a young person to say that it's acceptable to kill somebody, to murder a husband and a father. None of that is acceptable. You look, America looks at a poll like this, and America's response should be, I love you, young people. I'll listen to you young people, but man, this is messed up. And let me sit you down, young people, as pissed off as you may be about capitalism and the free markets and how broken our healthcare system in America might be, as pissed off about all of that as you might be, you do not have the right to take another human life. End of story. Young people in America, you need to frickin' do some soul searching here. I rag on politicians a lot. I rag on old people. I rag on old white people because I'm an old white people a lot, right? We want to protect young people. We don't want to be too hard on 18 to 29-year-olds. Bullshit. Man, a few generations ago, 14, 15, 16, 18-year-olds were like acting like 30-year-olds do today. The founders of this country, man, were Gen Z. Most of the founders of this country were 18 to 29-year-olds. I don't excuse this. Let's not treat 18 to 29-year-olds like children. Let's help listen to and educate and teach young people in this country, because when 41% of them believe that what that 26-year-old killer did is acceptable, we got a problem, Houston. That cannot be accepted. Rant number 3. I'm in a bad mood and I've had way too much of this. I'm not done having coffee. Hello, TikTok. It's been what, 5-6 days? A 15-year-old girl walks into a Wisconsin school, private school, Christian school, with a gun. Now we find out with 2 guns to kill. And she does take 2 lives, a teacher and a student. And 2 students are still hanging on for dear life in the hospital. We still don't know why a 15-year-old girl went to school Monday, I believe, to kill, and then took her own life. It is unacceptable that we don't know why. I'm sick and tired of law enforcement in this country, like protecting motives and not putting out enough information and not being transparent enough. The most important, look, America, we got a problem with guns in America. I agree that, and I'm a big gun rights guy. I'll sit down at the table and talk to you about it all. But the most important question that we need to answer is, why would a 15-year-old girl do this? That is much more important to me than how a 15-year-old girl did this. And by the way, on the how, again, I get it, and I respect people who right away said guns, 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 and they're still saying guns, guns, guns. And I try to say to them, do you know in Wisconsin, that 15-year-old already broke 4 or 5 laws just having that gun in her possession. She already broke a number of Wisconsin gun laws. People say we need to do more. We need to do more when it comes to gun laws. Excuse me, what? That 15-year-old girl already broke a bunch of gun laws on the books in Wisconsin. What other gun law can you put on the books that would stop that? She was already underage. She broke the law possessing a gun, period. Using a gun, period. She broke the law already on the books. So when you say we need another law, tell me what? What would it do when an underage girl already broke the law? And by the way, it's unacceptable that we still don't know how she did get that gun. Whose gun was that? Law enforcement, it pisses me off. Law enforcement is too damn slow putting out this information. But my God, America, a 15-year-old girl went to school this past Monday to kill. She took her own life, and we still don't know why she did it. We need to know why she did it, because we need to know why 15, 16, and 17 and 18-year-olds are doing this, why they feel so lonely, why they feel so helpless, why they feel so bullied, why they feel so angry, whatever, so that we can help. All we know, all we've been told is this girl, a new girl at the school, was lonely. Her parents were divorced. Sounds like her parents were married and divorced and then remarried and re-divorced. So clearly she comes from a dysfunctional, broken home. We don't know more than that. She wrote a manifesto. That's not out there. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. There were red flags about this girl's behavior. Damn it, put the information out there, because damn it, we have to try to help stop the next 15 to 16 to 17-year-old who would do this because they're feeling hopeless and disillusioned and angry and lonely and bullied. And by the way, America, if you know of 15, 16, 17, and 18-year-olds in this country who you know in your neighborhood, in your family, in your extended family, at your school, who are disillusioned, lonely, angry, and feel bullied, man, help, reach out, alert adults. Come on now. We're part of a damn community. It does take a village. Come on now, look for these signs. Help young people in this country who are feeling lonely and bullied. Clearly, this 15-year-old girl was that, and she didn't get the help. It's unacceptable. Almost a week later, we don't know why she killed. My final rant, the final thing I got to get off of my chest. Joe Biden, shame on you. Joe Biden, shame on you. Jill Biden, shame on you. Everybody who worked in the Biden White House these past 4 years, shame on you. What you did, what you contributed to, led directly to the reelection of Donald Trump. Joe Biden, shame on you. I'm pissed off at you. Wall Street Journal comes out with a piece yesterday that confirms what all of us suspected. From the beginning of Biden's presidency, he was diminished, and he was declining, and he was not all there. And the people around Biden had to dramatically adjust how he was scheduled, how he did his job, how they put him out there, and all of it. Aides controlled access to him. Aides kept meetings with Joe Biden very short from the very beginning. Aides acted as the go-betweens all the time. All of Biden's events were perfectly publicly scripted down to the detail. And everybody around Biden for 4 years denied that he was declining. And you ought to get your hands on this. This Wall Street Journal piece is extensive. Joe Biden was diminished and declining from the moment he got elected. Now, one point, I know what you're thinking. Biden got a lot done, right? Domestically, legislatively, when it comes to supporting Ukraine, Israel, Biden did a lot of stuff. I'm not saying Joe Biden couldn't do his job altogether, but he was diminished and he was declining. And one thing this article makes clear is that, look, it matters who the president is, but there's an apparatus around the president and there's an executive branch that functions. And so even a president who is diminished and declining and can't be out there all the time and doing his job all the time, the government still functions. And the Defense Department still does its thing, and the State Department still does its thing. These agencies do their thing. That's clear. Biden deserves credit for getting a lot of stuff done. But my broader point is this. Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the people around Biden for 4 years were not honest with the American people. That's wrong. Stop there. That's wrong. I mean, my God, listen to me. I rag on Donald Trump every day because Donald Trump's the most dishonest person that we've ever known in this country. Donald Trump's the most dishonest person in the history of humanity. Dishonesty matters to me. Lying matters to me. It should matter to you. The people around Biden were dishonest for 4 years with the American people about Joe Biden's condition. They were not transparent. They were not open. They were dishonest. They knew Joe Biden was declining. They knew Joe Biden was diminished. They reformed and restructured and adjusted the president's day, weeks, and months to meet the abilities of a diminishing 79, 80, 81-year-old president. So it was happening in real time. They limited access to him. They took meetings for him. People who worked with him said, sometimes he'd have good days and bad days, and on the bad days, you knew you just couldn't get to him. This was early on in his presidency. It's wrong. They were dishonest with the American people. And that should be condemned by every American, no matter your politics. Here's why it pisses me off and it matters to me. Outside of that, it's wrong and it's dishonest. We should know. Look, again, I'm someone who has a natural distrust of government, a natural show me, verify. Like I am afraid of big government. I'm afraid of government that would take away my rights, my liberties. So I fear a government that's not open and transparent. Every American should feel that way. The Biden administration was not open and was not transparent. And by the way, I'm sure there were members of the media who knew of this too. Shame on them. Here's why it matters as well. Joe Biden couldn't communicate. This was a common theme of mine for 4 years. Joe Biden, from the beginning, was incapable of communicating to the American people. Joe Biden couldn't use that bully pulpit. He couldn't sell the shit he was doing. He was doing some good stuff, right? The infrastructure, a lot of good things, right? That Joe Biden got done and was communicating some good stuff on the economy, how well the American economy was doing. Joe Biden was incapable of communicating any of that because he was too old and he was diminished and he was declining. And because Joe Biden was incapable of communicating in real time what he was doing, sell himself, sell his programs, it directly led to Donald Trump back in the White House for 4 years. Because the American people never heard from their president. And now we know why. He was diminished. He was declining. The American people never fully understood the economy, never fully understood what it meant coming out of a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic and how that was going to affect the economy in the weeks, months, and years to follow. And we had a president who was incapable of communicating what it would look like. And so because Joe Biden couldn't communicate that, Donald Trump and MAGA and the Republicans set the narrative that our economy was messed up and the price of eggs was $1,000 a dozen and all the rest. And inflation is through the roof and all the rest, and our economy sucks. And that narrative was set because we had a president who was incapable of publicly refuting it, because he was diminished and he was declining. That led directly to Donald Trump getting reelected. This wasn't Kamala Harris's fault. By the time Kamala Harris got in after that debate, Joe Biden debate, Kamala Harris becomes the nominee. The die was already cast, right? We had almost 4 years of a president who was incapable of talking to the American people. We had 4 years of the American people believing we had a president who was too old. Kamala Harris couldn't clean that up in 100 days. Joe Biden really, really, really helped get Donald Trump reelected. Shame on you. I'm going to say it because I'm pissed off at Biden. I'm pissed off at Joe Biden. Joe Biden put himself before his country. Joe Biden, look, unless you believe Joe Biden was completely out of it, which is what the crazy MAGAs say, then if you don't believe that, and I don't, he was diminished and declining, but he was still there most of the time. So Joe Biden was aware enough to know that he had slowed down and he was diminishing and he could no longer do the job. My God, this Wall Street Journal piece shows that from the beginning of Biden's administration, aides and people around him were doing this stuff. So Biden knew he couldn't do his job anymore, but Biden has a big fucking ego, and Biden put his big fucking ego in ahead of what's best for his country, because Joe Biden should have known that the re-election of Donald Trump is the worst thing in the world for this country. And if Biden had put his country first, Joe Biden in 2022, after the midterms, would have said, hey, gang, can't do it anymore. I'm going to be that one-termer. I'm going to be that bridge. I endorse Kamala Harris. Any other Democrat who wants to get in, go at it, have a primary. If Joe Biden had put his country first, that's what Joe Biden would have done. And the odds of beating Donald Trump, if that had happened, would have been a hell of a lot greater. No, I don't think I'm out of line when I say that Joe Biden deserves, and by the way, Jill Biden, I don't know you, Jill Biden. You knew more than anyone that your husband was diminished and declining from day one. You, Jill Biden, put yourself before your country. And by the way, Jill and Joe, because of what you did, your legacy has taken a rightful hit. Kamala Harris is a champ, and Kamala Harris is still loyal to you and stuck with you, but you really screwed her. You really messed up her chances. Joe and Jill Biden deserve most of the blame for putting Donald Trump back in the White House. That's why this matters. They knew Joe Biden was diminished and declining. It's all there in that Wall Street Journal piece. It's all what we sensed. They were incapable of doing the biggest part of a president's job, communicating to the public every day, every week, every month. Joe Biden couldn't do that for 4 years. And so because Joe Biden couldn't do that for 4 years, Donald Trump won. God, that pisses me off. I mean, it was wrong what Biden did, but it directly got Trump elected. It directly got a guy elected who is an existential threat to our democracy. That's what you did, Joe Biden. You put a guy back in the White House who wants Kash Patel to be his head of the FBI. You put a guy in the White House who wants Tulsi Gabbard to be a Russian propagandist, a Putin cheerleader, to be in charge of this nation's intelligence. You did that, Joe Biden, because you put yourself before your country. And by the way, Biden's continuing to do it, normalizing Trump, inviting Trump to the White House a few weeks ago. Biden said yesterday he's going to Trump's inauguration. Donald Trump, a guy who's telling us and showing us every single day he's an un-American traitor. He wants to be a dictator. And Joe Biden says, no big deal. I'm going to go to his inauguration because I'm an institutionalist and that's what you do. Bullshit. Biden's putting himself before his country again. Do not normalize Donald Trump. He's not normal. These are not normal times. He's a threat to our democracy. I'm done. Keith, I'm done. I apologize. I'm pissed off. Mostly I'm pissed off at Biden, but I'm pissed off about all of this. But by the way, Donald Trump is the swamp. Hey, thanks for listening. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. Joe Walsh, whiteflag@gmail.com. All one word if you want to email me, good, bad, or ugly. Joe Walsh, whiteflag, all one word, @gmail.com. TikTok, love you. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Have a great weekend. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract.